Truly appreciate the love and the support that I'm getting. The outpouring for Dharavi Bank has been incredibly overwhelming. To be honest, I knew that we were making a good show, but I didn't realize that it would have this kind of impact positively. Honestly, I just want to be responsible to the fans. They've given me this love, and I don't want to abuse it. I remember doing the Hindi remake of Alay Paide, which was Mani Ratnam's blockbuster in the South, and Mani Sir's film was made in Saathiya in Hindi. So I remember Mani Sir watching the movie and giving me a lot of compliments for my performance in Saathiya and saying, you have to be a part of whatever I'm doing next. And I was like, of course, it's my dream to work with you, sir. And Mani Anna calls me a few months later to Chennai and gives me a script and says, read it. And that was Yuva. I read the script and he said, which role do you feel? So I was like, sir, this role of Arjun, it's a very fun and interesting role, and I haven't played it, and I haven't played a character like this. And he said, yeah, that's the one I wanted you to do. One secret about Saathiya was because I didn't have a film at that time. Company hadn't released when I was shooting Saathiya, and it was a crazy time. People don't know that aside from being an actor in the film, I literally used to do everything else, which is because we were shooting a small budget film, and we didn't have all the facilities of a big film. So everything from lifting the camera equipment to chori chupe shooting in places where we couldn't afford the permissions, like the railways. We couldn't afford shooting on the tracks.
Vivek, for your time today. In fact, before I begin the interview, I just have to congratulate for the 10 kgs that you've put on. And maybe you've also lost.
Well, no congratulations in the putting on. I was just being lazy and eating a lot of food, so it was not difficult at all. It was fun, but the losing was the tough part. I think now I want to go the other side of the spectrum. So not only lose the 10, but an additional 5 and get really fit for my next role.
But Dharavi Bank, wow, look at the reviews. Look at the kind of compliments that are coming in. The reviews, the compliments, the appreciation. Was there any time, while you were filming Dharavi Bank, that you realized that this is going to be an instant hit with the audience? The ratings are completely high. Everybody's talking about the stellar performances. Everybody's talking about you.
Thank you so much. I truly appreciate the love and the support that I'm getting. The outpouring for Dharavi Bank has been incredibly overwhelming. To be honest, I knew that we were making a good show, but I didn't realize that it would have this kind of impact positively. And this is the kind of IMDb numbers, 9.6, 9 rating. Trouble, but it was to hear about how MX Players app crashed because this was the first show with which they were starting the limited viewing window for gold subscription. And I always thought that, it's India, people will say, "Theek hai yaar, kuch hafton baad dekh lenge," we won't watch it right away. But when I heard at 10 in the morning that they had more than 100,000 downloads of the app just for this show, and the app started crashing, though it was a problem for the tech team, for me, I was super excited. I was super happy. I was going like, yes.
Right. But, as someone, you were the first mainstream actor, who sort of jumped to OTT about 6 years back. And here, here's a product which has sort of left an indelible impact. Have you sort of aced the OTT game? Or there's more to learn?
Success of Inside Edge 1, I was very careful of not selling out, not just selling out to the people coming in and saying, oh, here's a package and, we'll make it for this much, we'll sell it for that much. I wanted to really focus on content, and I wanted to show respect to all the fans that had made Vikram Dhawan this kind of iconic character and given me so much love online with the instant feedback through social media. You realize how much of an impact it's had. And every time I'd go anywhere, especially for cricket matches, everybody would start shouting Dhawan, Dhawan, Vikram Dhawan, Inside Edge. So I realized that people have really loved this character. and I didn't want to dilute it by doing something that was, something I wasn't 100% sure of. So I waited season one, season two, season three, made those, didn't do anything else, and then signed Dharavi Bank, which we're all very proud of. And the proof is in the pudding with the kind of success that we're seeing by the grace of God. And after this, police force with Rohit Shetty. So in between, I've been offered, I don't know, maybe 100 shows over the last 6 years. We get a show a week coming up, every 10 days, you have something popping up into this. But I'm very, very careful and selective. And honestly, I just want to be responsible to the fans. They've given me this love and I don't want to abuse it.
So selective, let's say, about the projects that you would want to be seen in? Is it also an offshoot of how your own kids would be looking at you through your projects? Does that also sort of determine what sort of projects you're going to be doing next?
I don't know if my family, they're amazing supporters. They give me so much strength. My family is my haven. That's where I go to unwind and get all this showering of love and have like a balanced life, because I believe that acting is what we do, not who we are. Sometimes we confuse the two. We start imagining that we are just actors. We're a lot more than that. There should be a more well-rounded life to every human being. And my kids teach me probably not how to be a better actor, but how to be a better human being. When I look at the world I want for them, I make my choices thinking of how can I make the world better for my children and all the children to come, right, in the world. But as an actor, I think that one-on-one relationship that social media has brought with fans, where you get instant feedback, like the night Dharavi Bank released, I think it released at midnight on the 18th of November. And maybe 30 minutes, 45 minutes after the first episode, dropped, I already had feedback on my social media. And people were so committed to give you that honest feedback. And it's going to be a yay or a nay right away. So I think that feedback tells you how much people are looking forward to your work. And then you have to live up to it. You have to really take responsibility for all that love that you're being given. And it can't be a one-sided relationship.
True, true, very well said. In fact, we completely are in awe with the love, that comes, let's say, to the cops on the big screen. But that doesn't really sort of get translated, to the real life.
Yeah.
Why is it that, people don't have that much respect and love for cops that they meet on day-to-day basis, in daily lives, in reality? But they love the actors play cops on the big screen.
Well, I think in our country, the respect for men in uniform uh, needs to be greater across all services, right? Because it's not just the men in uniform, but the women in uniform, and the women who are not in uniform but behind the lives of our men in uniform. So if you have our cops, it's the family, whether it's the wives or the husbands, the children, who are sacrificing their personal life, their love. I mean, if I asked you to send your father, your husband, your son out to be in the way of danger, whether it was responding to Corona, or whether it was responding to attack on the borders, or whether it was responding to 26/11 in Mumbai, it was our men in uniform, who went out there and stood in the way of us, and the terrorists stood in the way of protecting us from danger. And that is something that we cannot forget. It's very easy to, paint everybody under one brush, but I have seen so many committed, honest cops. I have seen so many people who uphold the dignity of the uniform, our armed forces, from the Jawans to the officers. I've always seen them carry a sense of pride and commitment, where they're willing to give up their lives. They're willing to take a bullet for their career. And
In fact, 26/11, we just had like 14 years of Mumbai attack a few days back, and the entire Bollywood was, up expressing solidarity. Where were you? Do you remember what that day was like? And
so weird that I remember it so distinctly. It was
Hmm.
F, Karina, myself, we were shooting for Kurban in the US. And Renzil, our director, and his wife Chandni, she called me and said that, have you heard what happened? I was like, no. And then I went into their room and we started watching what was happening, trying to get in touch with our family back home, calling people. Sometimes the phones were going through, sometimes they were not. People that we knew were trapped. People that we knew whose friends and family were trapped. And then many of them passed away. People that we personally knew also passed away in that attack. And it was heartbreaking. And it was such a feeling of helplessness to sit so far away from home, to watch it on Western media being reported so negatively, without the compassion that they have for their own country. Whenever there's some sort of a attack or a terrorist attack or anything in their own country, they're very compassionate. But when it comes to us, it was negative reporting. The anger that we felt and the helplessness that we felt as a collective at that time while shooting in the US, it was crazy. And the whole crew unanimously was feeling in solidarity with our brave hearts and in solidarity with those that we lost. So it was a very difficult experience, but I remember it very, very clearly.
But do you think India has learned a lesson from that? Like 14 years on, if God forbid, if something like this happens, but do you think India is in a position, to give it back more strongly?
I think so. I think the India between then and now has changed. I think it's a more Buland Bharat. I think it's making its voice heard across the world. It's telling the world that we won't take things lying down. I think when you watch, interviews, when you watch news that says, or rumors that say how when Abhinandan was captured, a shaking head of Pakistani army went back to his masters and said, Khuda ka waste se chhod do, warna Fauj, tainat hai and they will, enter the country and it will be all out war. They're very serious about being, taken as a strong, independent, and fiercely proud nation, which is India. And I think that positioning, that mindset towards India overall, anywhere you go, I mean, now your blue passport carries so much more weight. Everywhere you go, people turn around and say, oh my God, you're from India. Oh, wow. Stuff like that. I'm sitting here in UK, I'm sitting in London right now, and there's an Indian, or at least Indian descent, with strong cultural values that is trying to, uplift the United Kingdom out of the troubled waters they're in right now. So the contribution of India is tremendous, whether it's in the world of business. If you look at the Fortune 500 CEOs, most of them are Indian who are running the biggest companies in the world. And the new avatar of Bharat is something that is much more powerful. It's a Buland Bharat, much more serious.
So PM Modi's vision of India has definitely worked for the country and also for the countrymen, and putting across an image that we always wanted and now we're currently enjoying. Is that true?
I think so. I think it's very true what you said. I think the most important thing is that somewhere within our hearts, we always had this sense of pride. Somewhere within our hearts, we always had this sense of patriotism. But we were never able to express it beyond a cricket match, right? At least for the last few decades, when I was growing up, we never had an opportunity. We always felt disappointment at times that how can this happen to us? And it took a spark. It took someone to galvanize that. And something about Indians that is so special that once that spark becomes a fire, we are an unstoppable force. Once we come together, once we unite, we can throw out the empire that has been ruling a country for 200 years. Once we unite, once that spark comes together, he has done. He's made us believe in our country again, believe in ourselves. He's inspired us. All of the potential was always there. All of that patriotism was always there. But he's inspired that and given it a direction. And I think how we feel in the global diaspora as Indians has changed completely. I think we now respect ourselves, respect our nation, and feel as a country.
And 20 years in the showbiz industry, if Vivek Oberoi had to give the 20-year younger self one advice, what would that be? You complete 20 years this year. You've already completed 20 years. Yeah, what would that advice be?
Ooh, I think the simplest advice would be just keep having fun, because everything they say, good or bad, doesn't last forever. What lasts forever is your passion, your relationship with the fans. Just believe in that and have fun, man. Have fun along the way. Don't take any of it seriously. The success or failure, don't take it seriously.
Yes, we're talking about 20 years. How can we not ask you about some of the best films, most of the best films, but we've picked only a few because we don't have that much time. Let's begin with Yuva. Is there any one secret that your fans don't know, and how did the script come to you? And, what was the initial briefing like given to you?
Well, I remember doing the Hindi remake of Alay Paide, which was Mani Ratnam's blockbuster in the South, and Mani Sir's film was made in Saathiya in Hindi. So I remember Mani Sir watching the movie and giving me a lot of compliments for my performance in Saathiya and saying, you have to be a part of whatever I'm doing next. And I was like, of course, it's my dream to work with you, sir. And Manianna calls me a few months later to Chennai and gives me a script and says, read it. And that was Yuva. I read the script and he said, which role do you feel? So I was like, sir, this role of Arjun, it's a very fun and interesting role, and I haven't played it, and I haven't played a character like this. And he said, yeah, that's the one I wanted you to do. And that was it. I just started working on it. I had most unfortunate accident in Yuva while shooting a live action sequence in Calcutta, and I had to be airlifted out of Calcutta to be brought to Mumbai to have a very complex surgery across my knee, my shin, and my ankle. And one thing led to another. I was in ICU for that. It was pretty bad. But then when people were telling me that you won't be able to dance again, you won't be able to run again, the damage is quite extensive. For me, I think just those amazing doctors, those physiotherapists, my parents, my family, my fans, everybody who gave me so much love and support to believe in myself. 3 months later, I was shooting Khuda Hafiz, running on that beach with that broken leg, with a titanium rod going from my knee to my ankle, and would pain after every shot. And every shot had me smiling and laughing and enjoying that beach with Karina. And the minute we'd say cut, I'd be like in severe pain, absolute pain. But it was a lot of fun when I watched the movie to see that I didn't allow that pain to affect the performance. I still felt so inspired.
While Sathya had you, interpreted by a lot of girls as the perfect boyfriend and maybe not the perfect husband, Yuva was that one film that sort of changed that perception and put forth a new Vivek. Did that work? Yeah.
I, this very interesting character, he represents the youth then, represents the youth today, who is moving from not my problem culture, saying यार मुझे तो यहाँ से बस निकलना है, एनआरआई बन के बाहर जाके डॉलर में पैसे कमाना है, and I want to live overseas. I don't want to live in India right now. To the youth that is changing India with startups and incredible solutions, and building Bharat out, and it gives me a sense of pride that Arjun represents that.
One secret from Sathya. How is it that we cannot ask you about Sathya? One secret that fans do not know.
I think one secret about Saathiya was because I didn't have a film at that time. Company hadn't released when I was shooting Saathiya, and it was a crazy time. People don't know that aside from being an actor in the film, I literally used to do everything else, which is because we were shooting a small budget film, and we didn't have all the facilities of a big film. So everything from lifting the camera equipment to chori chupe shooting in places where we couldn't afford the permissions, like the railways. We couldn't afford shooting on the tracks.
Okay.
To because we were shooting 80 a day, nap on the railway benches. So literally, okay, I used to have a newspaper so that my costume wouldn't get dirty. Benches,
Oh,
nap fresh in
yeah.
all those on the trains. So
Okay.
it was
And,
new me.
yeah. Omkara.
Omkara. Omkara, I think when I read the script, I really wanted to do Langda Tyagi. And Vishal Bhai said, no, I need somebody older. I need somebody, you're too young to play Langda Tyagi right now. You should play Kesu Pirangi. And even though I wanted to play Langda Tyagi, I said, Vishal Bhai, I'll do the film just because I want to be a part of this amazing film. But I really want to play Langda Tyagi. And I remember Saif was refusing to cut his hair. He had long locks. He had hair down till here. And he refused to cut his hair to create that skinhead, Langda Tyagi look. And I remember taking a buzzer, which you buzz hair with the clipper, and standing in front of Vishal Bhai and say, you know what? No, I want to just play Kesu Pirangi well, you'll win an award. And I remember, I never been happy. And it was won the best supporting actor award for Kesu Pirangi across all awards. I remember saying, Vishal Bhai, you believed. Thank you.
And are you happy about Great Grand Masti, Grand Masti?
I think they're just fun, right? And everywhere I go, I was surprised. I was in Mauritius recently. And even there, outside the PM's office, there are all these people coming up to me and saying, we love Masti, we love Masti. And I was like, this is crazy.
Really?
So it's been a harmless, crazy, fun ride doing Masti. And there's a huge fan following of the franchise.
And one film from your choice, which I haven't, maybe Company, because that was again a very important film of your career. Which other film that you would like to mention? PM Narendra Modi. Yeah, go ahead.
Company was my first film, so it'll always be special. But I also feel that as an actor, as a performer, I think Rakta Charitra was a very difficult performance to be able to pull off in Hindi and Telugu at the same time. This is before South films became a thing in 2010. And I think Rakta Charitra was a very difficult role. And to understand that culture, to understand that world of Parital Ravi. And I think for a lot of fans who reach out to me, it's kind of, especially in Andhra, Telangana, it's kind of achieved a kind of cult status, that movie. So when I look at my performance there, I feel quite proud and satisfied as an actor.
Any other film that you would like to mention, which remains really, really special? Yes.
I love Vikram Dhawan from Inside Edge.
Yes,
I think
of course.
Fun character to play. And lately, Jayant Gavaskar from Dharavi Bank. I think it was a difficult. It wasn't a very simple role. It wasn't an author-backed role. Because most of the time, it was a funny exercise where normally you hear of actors wanting to increase their lines, increase. I actually sat down with the director and writer and said, what if we make him speak less? What if he speaks more with his eyes? And we actually 40-50% of the lines of Jayant Gavaskar just to create that impact. And it was a big risk to take. Karini Rai, the protagonist, but it paid off.